Hi everybody, good afternoon. Evan Manship here with Mainstay Property Group, your premier investment company in the beautiful Circle City, Indianapolis, Indiana. I'm here at Mainstay office headquarters, and I want to talk to you a little bit about today. I put this video together because I've gotten so many questions from people from all walks of life, all areas of our beautiful country, asking the same question when they come here to Indianapolis is, how do I know where to invest? How do I know which neighborhoods are going to make me money, which neighborhoods have a greater deal of risk, and which neighborhoods are plain Jane rentals where I can expect money coming in and not have to mess with anything too crazy. So I put this together to demonstrate a handful of different things, and please be advised that before I tell you about my thoughts here, that's exactly what they are, my thoughts. So if you talk to another indie guy that says I'm drunk, that's fine too. It wouldn't be the first time I've heard that. So take it with a grain of salt. These are my thoughts, kind of what I'm thinking. And also, indie people, if you see something on there, well, I flipped a house in Pike and it was great. Good for you. That's awesome. I'm highlighting strictly, specifically things that are home run areas. People, if a deal comes across, you just understand you're not going to be the only guy vying for it. So this is a pretty cool little tool here that we use pretty frequently here at Mainstay, and it is called Scribble Maps. Scribblemaps.com. Really awesome thing. Lets you play with putting different stuff together to send to investors or send to partners, whatever. So hop on there, check it out. There's their free second of every time. So I'm on Scribble Maps, and I put this together. I highlighted some green areas here that are essentially your home run areas. But before I dig into any of them too much, I want to dig into Indianapolis and give you a better idea on who they are and how you can navigate the city just by looking at it on a map. Indianapolis is called the Circle City. And when people look at it on a map or on Google, when you type it in, Indianapolis, what pops up is this beautiful little Midwestern city with a big ring around it, and that is absolutely not why it's called the Circle City. But it does have a pretty cool little clock-looking thing that goes right around the downtown here, and that's our most traversed interstate 465, which connects all of our bigger interstates. I-69 right here, which goes to Lansing, Michigan. I-70 here, which goes from Baltimore to Denver, but through Columbus, Ohio, and St. Louis. Also, I-74 goes to Cincinnati, and then I-65, which goes to Chicago. So 465 is the loop that goes around the downtown and connects all these big interstates. But at Mainstay, we direct all of our clients to identify this 465 interstate. The loop is a big clock. So, for example, Carmel, Indiana, up here, smack dab in the middle of the green, the nicest suburb we have, is right at the top, 12 o'clock. And then Fishers, it's twin brother, over here at 1 o'clock, and Zionsville's at 11. So that's how we direct people as far as just roughly where the hell are we in the city. This is what you're looking at, 11, 12, 1, 2, whatever. For example, my hometown, Greenwood, is at 6 o'clock, just for reference. So those will direct you, at least put you in the general direction of where you're at if you're outside the loop. But what happens if you're inside it? That's where we have to dig in a little bit more. Indianapolis is called the Circle City. That's my banker calling. He's going to have to get over it. I am going to show you what's called Monument Circle. This is smack dab in the middle of downtown. And Monument Circle is quite literally a big brick circle that goes around a monument in downtown Indianapolis that is used as a center point for how to navigate the city. So roughly, when you look at some of these streets, for example, 16th Street, this is roughly where I live. If you see this little overlap right here, this is my house, 16th and New Jersey Street. So when you see 16th Street, you're looking at 1.6 miles north of the monument, of the circle. So that's why Indianapolis is called the Circle City. It's got a big circle smack down in the middle of it. 1.6 miles north of 16th Street. If you go to 22nd Street, it's 2.2 miles north. 30th Street is 3.0 miles north, so on and so forth. So when you're navigating the interior of Indianapolis, you always start from right here at the circle. Everything starts at the circle, and everything ends at the circle when you're talking about outside. So circle in the middle, circle on the outside. It's not going to get you exactly where you you want to be or exactly, exact coordinates or an exact neighborhood, but it's a great place to start as far as understanding where you're at and what's a decent part of town. So now that you understand at least relatively how Indianapolis works, let's dig into some of these green areas I've highlighted. These areas, like I said, please don't crucify me for highlighting these and not an area where you have a house listed for sale or where your latest flip was. That's great. Good for you. I hope you make a lot of money. These green areas are slam dunk areas that we've had a lot of success in with our investors. We've partnered with people here. We've borrowed money here. We've lent money here. Just slam dunk areas that make a lot of sense for someone doing their first deal or their 1,000th deal. Carmel, Fishers, Zionsville are all the upper epsilon of suburbs in Indianapolis, all the C-level executives. Many of the affluent population is through the north side of the city. So Westfield, Carmel, Zionsville, Fishers, we've done business in all those communities and slam dunk areas for awesome schools, awesome infrastructure, just home runs all the way around. Same goes with the west side, Brownsburg, Avon, even Eagle Creek, which is up here. Same thing. Cool, good schools, good neighborhoods, millions of dollars in development. People aren't afraid to spend money on houses, on items, groceries, whatever. Everything's there as far as money's concerned. South side mimics it, but in my opinion is the stepbrother, the kind of the redheaded stepbrother of the north side. Greenwood, Southport, and even this little enclave right here, which is called Franklin Township. Nice area, good schools, nothing wrong with it. This is a little bit more blue-collar than perhaps the north side. So you're talking houses up here in Carmel. It's not uncommon to see something sell for $900,000, $1 million, even $750,000 is, I don't want to say standard. That's probably a little bit higher than usual. But if something sells for $500,000, $600,000 here in Greenwood, that's a pretty big deal. So just trying to paint a picture between the north and the south. But all three, the north, the south, and the west side of Indianapolis are all ripe for projects as far as investments are concerned, so long as you can stomach the barrier to entry that might be up to $700,000, $800,000 in Carmel. That being said, Clay, how much did we put into the house on Carrollton in Carmel? Carrollton, what was it? What was the total? We spent like $100,000 on this house on Carrollton. Yeah, so you can do it. You can spend $80,000, $90,000, $100,000 buying a house in Carmel and sell it for $150,000, $160,000. So that was our latest project in Carmel. You can get into Carmel, just don't expect that to come across your plate all the time. And then this over here is a little bit different. This is Geist Reservoir. This is where all the Pacers players and Colts players and all the CEOs of the world all live on Geist. So waterfront, multi-million-dollar mansion stuff. If you want to flip there, great. You're obviously not going to lose. It's the best school system and the best everything. So if you can find a house there, good for you. When we dig in a little bit more to the urban core here and something that's not necessarily a suburb but more true Indianapolis, if you will, Marion County, I'll highlight some of these neighborhoods first. We've had the most success in these three neighborhoods closest to downtown. One I want to point out, because the east side's kind of neglected over here, and the east side's still weird. There are a handful of areas over here that I'll highlight in red. Just there are no investment zones, at least for our group and our investors. Irvington being the lone outlier, if you will. Irvington's cool, historically protected area. A lot of big Victorians, $250,000 some odd dollar houses. So if you can find a rental in that area or even a flip, you're in good shape. Be weary of people that tell you something's Irvington when it's not Irvington. It's a very tight box, and oftentimes there'll be a wholesaler or someone else that says, it's in Irvington, it's a mile away. Don't waste your time or your money. Kind of pairing off Irvington here is the Fountain Square area. Fountain Square is a long neglected area of town that has been immensely redeveloped in the last 10 to 15 years. So we're talking houses 10, 15 years ago would sell for $20,000, and now we're looking at $300,000, $400,000 houses littered throughout this little area right here. So Fountain Square is certainly a commercial as well as a residential hotbed for millennials and people who want to be close to downtown, and we're talking maybe a mile from downtown when it's all said and done for Fountain Square. And then this little spill over here, I-65, this is the interstate that connects Louisville and Chicago, and obviously goes up to downtown. is a dividing line between Fountain Square, where we are here, and this little spillover area here called Bates Hendricks. Bates Hendricks has kind of been the stepbrother, the ugly stepbrother of Fountain Square. Not to say the area is ugly, not to say the area won't flourish, but at one point Fountain Square was like Bates Hendricks is now. So Bates Hendricks is, $200,000 houses, $250,000 houses, and we actually have an investor who bought a house who's in the middle of flipping. He's going to list for $349, and he'll get every dime of it. So Bates Hendricks is a blossoming area, but unlike Fountain Square, where there used to be $20,000, $30,000 houses for sale, now everything's getting redeveloped. Bates Hendricks will still have that house that's falling apart right next door to a house that's sold for $250,000. So definitely on the up and up, but certainly not Fountain Square. One of the neighborhoods the neighborhood that Mainstay is hanging its hat on for the foreseeable future is the near north side. This little green box encompasses 3 different neighborhoods, and I'll walk you through them. Actually 4 if you want to be technical. We have the Old North Side, which is right here, just above the interstate. Directly above that is Heron Morton Place, where I live. My house is right here, roughly on the O, right here on Hospital. Kennedy King, which is over this way, and then Fall Creek Place, which is all up north here. So 4 different neighborhoods that we're talking. It's It's very unusual to see a house sell for less than $300,000 in here. So if you can buy any house, no matter how big, how small, how anything, if you can get a house, any single family property in there for sub 300, you're doing something right. That being said, there are houses here on the Old North Side, south of 16th Street, between the interstate and 16th Street, that will sell very frequently for $800,000, $900,000, $1 million plus in here. So very, very affluent, very, very sexy, old Victorian 6,000, 7,000, 7,000 square foot homes that are really, really taking off. Up here we have another couple areas as well. This is Meridian Kessler. This is another area that competes nicely with the Old North Side and Heron Morton. This is where the governor's mansion is, and a couple other big old-time Victorians, 10, 15,000 square foot houses that are selling for God knows how much money. So if you can get a house up in here, pro tip, you won't. But if you do, it's a cool place to flip and even a cooler place to live. Near there is a little bar district called Broad Ripple, another historically protected neighborhood that really known for bars, restaurants. There's a comedy club there and a bunch of other things. So young folks, people with money like to hang their hat on Broad Ripple, and I don't blame them. Also, I got a handful of investors who would shoot me if I didn't say that Meridian Hills is a cool place to look as well. I had a lot of success up in here. A lot of older, historic homes as well. Really anything up and down the Meridian Street corridor, as well as the College Ave corridor, which is right next to it. These two roads go completely parallel with each other, Meridian and College, and they both start here downtown and go all the way up north, and Meridian even goes farther south. But two main roads that pretty much anything up and down there, pretty much. Now, someone's going to tell me to buy a house on 36th and College, and that's not a good idea, but you know what I'm saying. Anything up there. You can see just kind of right there. So that being said, I've highlighted a lot of the nicer home run areas that our group is really investigating and will gladly partner with different folks on projects in these areas here. What some of you are asking now is, that's great, I know where to invest, I'll wait on a deal from you, but now, where do I avoid? What areas am I completely taking away from, and where are my no zones? Where do I stay away from? Subscribe, stay tuned to the next video, and we will do our best to paint that picture for you. So, thanks for watching. We'll talk to you soon.